where we see our 3 astronauts and 1 cosmonaut standing, getting ready to get seated in the same configuration of seats that they'll sit in Dragon, right?
Exactly, yeah. So you'll see Matt and Mike are on the top half of the screen, and then Jeanette and Alexander on the bottom half. We're getting to see a little bit more than we did yesterday. So you saw Alexander kind of fist punching, so he's working his fingers into the gloves. And then you can see Matt's, there's 2 zippers there, an orange and a white zipper. So the orange zipper is the pressure garment, and that's why he's got just 2 people, just verified that visually that it's closed. He'll tuck that in with the Velcro, and then the white zipper is the outer garment zipper. And so but you saw Matt and then both of the SpaceX techs all visually verified that orange zipper. When you pull it closed, there's a white tooth, and that's how you know it's completely sealed. And so that's what they're visually looking at. And then Maddie, who's the SpaceX tech there with the iPad, is kind of running the show here in the suit-up room.
Now, as we see Alexander and Jeanette taking a seat, question, how long does it take to put on the suit?
So we actually train for one of the emergency scenarios we train for is what's called a mask to suit transition. So the crews are able to do that pretty quickly on the order of single-digit number of minutes, because in the capsule there's times when a lot of the time you'll have the suit off, but you will have to potentially put it on for some if there's.
This is LD on countdown 1 with a T-minus 4-hour situational awareness briefing. We are currently counting down to a T0 of 03:53:38 UTC, 22:53:38 local, with an instantaneous window. The crew has started suit donning and leak checks in preparation to begin ingress activities, and the advanced team is currently on the way to the pad. Vehicle gases are at me up, FTS checkouts are complete, and Dragon prop tanks are pressed. Weather overall looks much better than yesterday, with launch weather at a 25% probability of violation for flight through precip and anvil clouds. Current trends over the last hour appear to be more favorable. Ascent risk winds are much better than yesterday, but we'll continue to monitor precipitation in the staging area up until L-1 hour. In the event of scrub, the next available launch attempt will be tomorrow, March 4th. Procedure 520911 is open in the event of a crew contingency from ingress through launch. As a reminder, the launch escape system will be armed prior to propellant load today. Hangar access will go into lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and will last until a spacecraft separation or after the launch escape system is disarmed. All personnel are requested to stay in their locations until lockdown is complete. And CE, do you have a report on Falcon 9 health?
Falcon 9 is healthy and tracking no issues at this time, ready to proceed.
And ND.
Dragon team is looking good over here. Dragon is healthy and ready to proceed.
All right, copy all, and this will conclude the T-minus 4-hour brief, unless there's any further questions.
And so we're taking a look at Dominick laughing inside his suit right now. He's getting his suit pressure checked, right?
He is, yeah. So you asked about how long it takes to get in the suit. It's a few minutes. That's if in an off-nominal case. So when they're doing it for this, they take a little bit longer just to make sure everything's in the best config it can and everything is comfortable. Yeah, it's meant to self-don, so you don't need 2 people to do it like you do with the EMUs, which are the extravehicular mobility units we use for spacewalk. So these are self-donning. And we talked a little bit yesterday about you can see how his knees are starting to puff up, so the suit's starting to inflate. So once they go visors down, that's when the gas starts flowing and it starts to pressurize. And it's actually unlike the spacewalk suits that we use that have their own internal closed-loop CO2 removal, the SpaceX suits, they actually are leaking in the sense that the gas that's flowing is actually coming out. And so that's actually what's scrubbing out the CO2 as the crew member's exhaling. So air comes out, but air doesn't go back in, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But there's a regulator that maintains that basically at pressure, and you'll see his arms and legs inflate.
Up, so I believe his pressure check was also completed.
Yep, yeah. So Alexander is in one of the newer groups of the cosmonaut classes, and just a testament to the continuing partnership. Laurel's up on the space station now. She got up there via Soyuz. Alexander will be heading up via Dragon, so continuing to learn from him and work with one another. So they build in time. So the whole purpose of this, what we're seeing right now in the suit-up room, is to leak check the suits. They'll do it again when they get inside the Dragon, but if there's a problem, then it can have the potential to have delays to the launch. Whereas here they have all the equipment. You can see there's a lot of people. It's easy to move around. So anything that doesn't pass on the suit leak checks, they have the ability to fix it. And so because of that, they build in the assumption of a failed leak check when they build the timeline for this. Maddie there, who's the one with the iPad, has almost like a Quarterback has the cuff checklist on her left hand there, so she's got the timeline and then is running everything. But yeah, they build in extra time so that if they did have to fix a part, swap a component, they would have time to do that now. And so in the case where it looks like everyone's suit leaks check passed on the first attempt, then you've got a little bit of time left to just relax a little bit, get on cooling. So right now they're in umbilicals. They're not on the mobile cooling units yet. I can't tell actually.
I don't see it, yeah.
But so right now this is a good chance to kind of get their MET rates down, get their core body temperature down, because once they get outside in the hot, humid Florida air in a suit, it can get warm fast. So
sure.
This lets them cool off. It's also a chance for them to catch up with these SpaceX folks you're seeing here, 1134, and then I can't see his number, but Rick on the far end. There's lots of different families the astronauts work with. There's obviously their families, their loved ones. There's a SpaceX family. There's a mission control family. There's an ISS family, and so every one of those families is special. They've been working with these people for about 18 to 24 months, and specifically, Rick, Maddie, and Haley are ones they see a lot. And then
this is a shot actually of the astronaut support person, right? So wearing number 21, the one is covered there, but number 21, that is Denise Burnham. And she is a NASA astronaut candidate, graduating actually in 2 days. And what's her role here? Yeah,
so Denise is what we call the ASP, which is the astronaut support person. In the shuttle era, they used to call it the Cape Crusaders, but essentially it's the person that is the eyes and ears of the crew as they're setting up in the final stages for the launch. So she's been in quarantine with them. And in the shuttle era, it would involve being the only other person besides the crew that would go inside and configure switches. What Denise will do, has been doing this whole time in quarantine, as the schedule shift and as there's different meetings and launch, like the weather briefs, all those kind of things. If the crew is unable to make those things as they're schedule shifting, she is covering all that. The other, you'll see the very public thing she'll do later on is call from the phone on the pad. But the thing you won't see when they cut the feed here is all the little things. So like getting glasses ready, if like someone has a timer, if they where exactly on their leg they want the iPad positioned. So all those things seem very little, but after so many sims, you kind of have a scan, or we call it a cockpit cross-check, and it's very kind of particular of where you want all those different things, where you want maybe, like I said, like a timer located, as you can see, where you want your watch. And so she's kind of like the expert and knows for each person exactly how they want it configured, to include, Jeanette maybe wants her volume set at whatever on this loop, and having all that preset. So when they get into the Dragon, things are ready to go. There's getting up. You can see what I was talking about before. You can see Mike is hunched over from the helmet weight and the suit weight. So at this point, the suits themselves, their gloves their hands are still in the gloves. When you've done the pressure checks, you can see the visors can go up and down. They are allowed to take their hands in and out of the gloves as well, because they are going to do another pressure check, and so that's just kind of crew preference if they're getting warm or not. What they generally don't want to have to do is get out of the suit completely, because that would then raise some concern of whether the leak check they did, anything could change. The other thing they're doing now is, we talked about a little bit yesterday, there's some Velcro tabs and hooks underneath different parts of the suit, and so those allow them to basically make it flush so that as they get into the spacecraft, straps don't get caught or cords don't get tangled and anything like that. So it's mostly just a half ergonomic, half just to keep things clean.
Are about to play a card game.
They are. So it's a long-standing tradition with the chief of the astronaut office playing with the crew prior to heading out to launch.
Deputy today.
Deputy chief, yeah. And I think we talked a little bit yesterday. I think the really important part about this is the fact that the leadership is there. And you might say, well, why is the deputy there? Where's the chief? So the chief of the astronaut office, Joe Akaba, is actually coming back from the Pacific Ocean. So he was out there doing a massive training event with the U.S. Navy with the Artemis II crew, practicing and recovering them. So
it looks like she split the deck.
Yep.
She's now dealing. And the point of this card game is so that the commander loses, to use up his bad luck, so that he proceeds with good luck. The whole team proceeds with good luck through launch and their whole mission. I think he did not lose, so we're redealing. Do you recognize this card game, Raja?
So it can change from crew to crew. So I'm not exactly sure. It looks like maybe they're going high card. And I think Mike won.
And this is really a moment of levity, right? Like before.
Yeah, especially if everything's on timeline. Like the case tonight, they didn't have any suit issues. They're ahead on the timeline, so it's actually a nice chance to just kind of hang out and relax again with the people who've supported you and worked with you, not just these last few weeks, but really the last 18 to 24 months.
If it is high card, I thought it looked like he lost, but.
Well, you
like
can tell by the fact he's laughing, which is not unusual for Matt. I think at this point they're just having some fun. Looks like it's down to just Shannon and Matt.
Traditions are important, right?
They are, and like I said, I think it's really. I know Norm, Joe, and Shannon are all very passionate about making sure that they are in quarantine all the time for all these missions. I had the chance with the scrub to meet with the administrator staff yesterday and today, and the amount of support and vigilance that goes into human space flights, both impressive and warranted.
Yeah, and it looks like he lost, but there were cheers. It's a very counterintuitive, but.
All right, here they come.
All right, here they come. In front, Matt and Mike, commander and pilot, and now we have the mission specialist, Alexander and Jeanette. Applause from folks around them as they walk down the hallway here in crew quarters and are getting inside an elevator, their first few steps before their big trip.
This is kind of a cool surprise. I don't know if they got this far yesterday since we didn't cut the feed, but I at least didn't know that there'd be that banner in there when we got in the elevator with all the signatures. So it's a really cool thing. Because as soon as the doors.
Here they come, Crew 8, taking their first steps outside before their journey to the International Space Station. We hear some cheers, them waving. From left to right, let me introduce you. We have mission specialist Alexander Grebenkin. Then we have pilot Michael Barratt, commander Matt Dominick, and mission specialist Jeanette Epps. You know, since we did see that Matt has younger children, I know you had younger children when you flew. How did you prepare them for this moment, or how was that moment with them?
It's interesting. I think each family kind of deals with their own way. So we talked a lot about it before and during.
And now we can see the crew is departing from the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building, beginning their 20-minute drive with a full security escort across NASA's Kennedy Space Center to Launch Pad 39A.
And as I mentioned, that's where the chief of the astronaut office is now, is working with the Artemis II crew on recovery, and we'll be stacking the Orion on top of the SLS there in no time at all. It's going to fly by, and they'll be sending humans around the moon for the first time in a long time.
The crew arrived early to the pad. That was scheduled for T-minus 2 hours and 55 minutes. Right now, as Raja said, they are taking their last real bathroom break before they're going to get into the launch tower there, walk across the crew access arm that you see at the top of your screen there, and into their Dragon spacecraft, Dragon Endeavour. Just to set expectations for what we will soon see. So in pairs, right, Raja, we're going to see the commander, Matt, and the pilot, Mike. They'll be the first to take a look at their rocket and then head up the launch tower, yeah? Exactly,
yeah, and it's mainly driven by when you get the strap-in part, trying to have all 4 people strap in at the same time would be kind of get crowded.
And now here they are. They're getting into an elevator that will take them up the launch tower. We won't be joining them inside the elevator, but we do have a picture of the buttons inside there. If we can pull that up as they walk inside, as you can see, the bottom floor is Earth. And where they'll be going to is space.
Makes it very easy to know which button.
And there we have Commander Matt Dominick, pilot Michael Barratt, walking down the crew access arm towards their Dragon Endeavour. Walked into the camera. Here they are now into that white room, like we were saying. So it looks like they are removing their gloves now.
Yep, it looks like they might be signing the around the meatball here.
So this is another tradition.
Yep.
We have the NASA meatball here, and starting with Demo 2 with Bob Hurley and
Bob Benkin and
Bob
Doug
Benkin.
Hurley.
Yeah, whoops, I was like, whoa, wait. You say their names often, all the time together, and then, but so they sign their names around this meatball.
Yep, and then it started as many traditions start. Once one crew has done it, then you keep doing it.
So as you said, removing their boot coverings, essentially. Walking on that sticky tape to grab anything off of the soles of their shoes before they ingress as well.
Yep, and you can see the techs are making sure their helmet is protected on the way in, just so you don't accidentally bump either the hatch seal or damage the helmet.
Mm-hmm. How big of a space are we talking about? Can you give us an idea for how wide it is in there, Dragon?
Inside the Dragon?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, you can see that the 4 seats across, and then below the seats it gets a little wider. So it's wide enough that you can lay head to foot pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably fit 2 people down there. And then it narrows as it goes up. So above the displays that Mike's using right now, you could probably fit 1 person laying horizontally. So it's actually pretty comfortable.
Actually, Dragon is configured for 7 passengers if needed, right?
Right, the original outer mold line design was built so where you see the cargo bags underneath Mike and Matt's feet, that at one point early in the design was considered for extra seats. That wasn't, that's not what it's certified for now, but that was originally part of the original concept. You can see number 22, those products I was talking about earlier that, each crew runs a little differently. Some have what we call lineup cards.
Mm-hmm.
Some use the iPad. Some maybe have wave for Matt
waving,
there.
yeah. Finding the camera, he sees us. Thumbs up. I think that's for you, Raja. From a turtle to another turtle. So as we can see, Matt and Mike have their harness on. It's a 5-point harness.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a harness, and then also where their boots are at, there's a connection in the sole of their boot that locks their feet into the footrests, and then basically troubleshoot it right away.
Oh, and as we said, no issues with Falcon 9, and the range is green, Raja. Safe to fly.
Ready to go. Yeah. And as you've heard several times tonight, with Matt talking, and the crew talking with the controllers, they are excited. They're ready to go. Yeah, it looks to be a beautiful night for the folks that are here at Kennedy Space Center to be able to watch the launch. So you've got the immediate families, so we saw those when they walked out, the ones who were in quarantine, that'll be on top of the LCC to be able to watch the launch, and then the extended family, and then lots and lots of visitors here to see, the 5th flight of Endeavour, which again is just amazing, just to think about 5 flights on a vehicle that only 5 years ago flew the first time.
Today's crew will fly aboard the Dragon spacecraft named Endeavour, which previously flew NASA's SpaceX Demo 2, Crew 2, and Crew 6 missions, in addition to AX-1, the first commercial astronaut mission to the space station. For those of you following along, Endeavour will be the first Dragon spacecraft to fly 5 times.
The flight termination system is armed, and we are in
Dragon,
countdown.
SpaceX, go for
45
launch.
seconds.
Dragon copies. Go for launch.
Reports go. Crew reports go. Now,
T-minus 30 seconds.
about 30 seconds away from liftoff.
$15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Engines full power. And liftoff of NASA Crew 8. Go Falcon, go SpaceX, and go NASA.
One Alpha.
Endeavour ascends, a beacon of human ambition. 1.7 million pounds of thrust now propelling Falcon 9 and Crew 8. Vehicle is pitching down range. good call-outs on propulsion. Falcon 9 engines now throttling down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
With that call out, we know that Falcon 9 is now moving faster than the speed of sound.
Stage 1 throttle up.
1 Bravo.
So with that call out,
Copy 1 Bravo.
we know that Falcon 9 is throttling back up, and that 1 call out for 1 Bravo means that we are in the second and final abort mode for the first stage, continuing to get good performance from Falcon 9. Now at this
Impact
point,
chill
the
has
crew
started.
are already pulling over 2 Gs. And with that call out, we know that that engine chill for MVAC, which is our second stage engine, has now also begun. That also means we have a couple of events that are going to happen in rapid succession. First is that chill on the MVAC engine, and then we'll have main engine cutoff, or MECO, where the 9 engines on the first stage of Falcon 9 will cut off ahead of first and second stage separation. Then the Merlin vacuum engine on board the second stage will ignite and carry the Crew 8 astronauts to orbit, while the first stage begins its journey back to Earth. At this point in the flight, the 9 Merlin
Stage 1
engines
throttle
are
down.
starting to throttle down, and we're standing. There's that call out for throttle down, and we're standing by for MECO.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
2 Alpha.
Copy 2 Alpha.
So those incredible views on your screen, and of course the cheering behind me, means that we have had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, and ignition of our MVAC engine on board stage 2. We are also in 2 Alpha for the aborts if needed. Of course, that second stage is being illuminated on the right-hand side of your screen by our single Merlin vacuum engine on board stage 2. Now, the next milestone we're tracking is the stage 1 boost back burn on the left-hand side of your screen. And we are expecting completion of that burn in just about 10 seconds.
And so Crew 8 is now traveling at over 4,000 miles per hour. We're continuing to get good call outs, everything going really smoothly today. That second stage will continue firing until we reach about 8 minutes into the flight.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon.
Good performance on the lone Merlin vacuum engine on. Now almost 7 minutes into the flight of Crew 8.
So the next milestone we're standing by for is stage 1 landing burn start. Again, as stage 1 approaches the Space Coast to touch back down at landing zone 1.
Stage 2 FTS is safed.
And it is great to see that first stage back on Earth. Coming up, next on the second stage is second engine cutoff. You can hear some excitement here at Hawthorne at SpaceX headquarters as that first stage successfully landed back on Earth. So second engine cutoff will take place here in just a couple of minutes. Once the lone Merlin engine cuts off and stops firing, the second stage will continue to coast for about 3 minutes until Dragon is commanded to separate. At this point, Dragon will separate from the second stage and will fly free with Crew 8 still on board and in orbit.
Shannon.
Copy Shannon.
And Again, that call out for Shannon, indicative of Shannon, Ireland, the very last abort zone in the
Effect
second
shutdown.
stage. The Merlin engine is about to shut down. You just saw it there on your screen.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
Dragon
Hearing
copy.
good call-outs following second stage cutoff. The crew is
Launch
in a
stage
nominal
system
or
disarmed.
as expected orbit. That is great news. That launch escape system, and we are getting our first view of Crew 8 inside Endeavour, 3 of them in space for the very first time. So again, we'll continue to coast for these few minutes after that second stage just shut down. This helps to allow rates and motion to settle out. There are actually small reaction thrusters on the upper part of the second stage that can be used to counteract any residual motion, basically making sure that we're in a stable coast before Dragon separates from Falcon. We expect that separation here to occur at about the 12-minute mark into the flight. So again, we did hear that the crew has been successfully inserted into a good orbit. This is the crew in microgravity, 3 of them for the very first time, all good call-outs.
So right now, the second stage is performing a series of checkouts as we prepare to separate Dragon from stage 2.
And so we will see that separation coming up in just a couple of minutes, after which a number of activation checkouts occur automatically. First, we'll be checking out 12 of the Draco maneuvering thrusters all around the service section of the Dragon spacecraft. And then we'll also begin to get ready for nose cone opening. Nose cone stays closed for the flight uphill to help protect all of those guidance, navigation, and control sensors. It also covers 4 of the Draco thrusters that will be used for the majority of the different phase burns, requiring Dragon to catch up to the International Space Station. So we are standing by for Dragon separation to occur here in just about 30 seconds from now.
Of course, the view you have right now on your screen. Oh, actually, now that our view has transitioned, you're getting a great view of Dragon's heat shield. This camera is on top of stage 2 and looking up into Dragon's trunk.
We had a successful launch of Crew 8. They're on their way to the International Space Station. The first stage has already returned to Earth and landed successfully, and the second stage has shut down, and we're awaiting separation, and you see it on your screen right there. Dragon and
SpaceX.
Endeavour now flying free.
Dragon, SpaceX, this is your launch chief engineer.
Go ahead.
Welcome to orbit. It truly is our greatest honor for you to trust us to launch you into space. It's been a pleasure working with you, and we trust that all the science and work you're about to do will continue to move humanity further towards the stars. We hope you enjoyed the ride, and thank you for flying on Falcon 9. Please send our regards to Crew 7, and make sure to remind them you just wanted to be fashionably late.